Hello all, welcome back to the BioRocks channel. In this video today, we are going to learn about the simple permanent tissues. So we need to remember that the primary meristems and the secondary meristems, they actually undergo the division process and they produce some tissues, okay? And these tissues are going to be structurally and functionally different from that of the that is your primary and the secondary meristems. And these cells which are structurally and functionally different, these cells are going to even lose the potency of division, and they now are being termed as the permanent tissues. Okay, the permanent tissues are of two different types. They are of the simple and the complex. And in this video today, I'm going to introduce you with the simple sort of permanent tissues. Okay, so I'll be entering into my topic, children. Let me introduce you with this particular thing. So the simple permanent tissues that we are going to see are these. Usually your plants are going to have simple permanent. Why are we calling them as simple permanent? What are permanent tissues? The tissues which have lost the virtue of division are being called as permanent tissues. And these are of simple types because simple in the sense they have only same single type of cells. All the cells are going to be similar in their shapes and similar in their functionality especially. So simple permanent tissues is a collection of some cells which are having the same functionality. And we have three different types of these simple permanent tissues. One will be regarded as a parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Remember, children, that these simple tissues can also be regarded as a ground tissue, because a ground tissue is a tissue which is a prime tissue which is going to help in storage of the materials, synthesizing of materials. Okay, so these you can see that the such type of tissue should be called as ground tissues. And since we know that our parenchyma is going to synthesize the what you call is because it has a chloroplast, and it is going to be regarded as sclerenchyma and helps in photosynthesis and assimilates the organic molecules and stores them and synthesizes them. And as collenchyma is going to be the supporting and gives a flexibility and it incites strength to the plant, and sclerenchyma giving rigidity to the plants. So basically these cells are being regarded as, or tissues are regarded as a ground tissues. So the simple permanent tissues are also regarded as a ground tissues for their functionality of synthesizing organic compounds, giving support to the plant, giving a mechanical strength, giving the tensility. These all functionalities are making them to be as ground tissues. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to introduce you is going to be about the parenchyma, the first simple permanent tissue. So this is actual view of the parenchyma under the microscope, children. You can see that the cells are isodiametric, and they are regular in shape. Sometimes they are spherical, polygonal, oval in shape, and these are going to have a very thin cell wall made of celluloses. They have a denser cytoplasm, and they're having the nuclei, which gives an indication that these cells are going to be actually the living cells. And these parenchymatic cells are having different functionalities, and these may sometimes see they may actually have sometimes is the chlorophyll in them, which makes them as sclerenchyma. As I told you, you can see that the parenchymatic cells are irregular, isodiametric. They may be of different shapes. They have a thin cell wall. They have cytoplasm. They have nuclei, which makes them as living cells. Remember that these cells are going to have bit of tissue has a intercellular spaces, not larger, but smaller intercellular spaces are being present. If the parenchyma has a presence of the chloroplast, we are going to call it as a chlorenchyma, and it is going to help in photosynthesis, and it synthesizes the organic molecules, it assimilates them, it stores them. You can even see that in the hydrophytes, the parenchyma is going to store the air in between the intercellular spaces and regarded as aerenchyma, which makes the hydrophytes to float. Okay, and the fibrous and the long what you call is sorry, Parenchyma, the long fibrous parenchyma is regarded as a prosenchyma, which is going to give them the strength. And we can even see that these are going to be the epidermal cells are also made of parenchyma. Sometimes they are being cutinized, or they are being having the presence of this cuticle, which is also going to give protection. Okay, so they may have arenchyma, chlorenchyma. Okay, and these may be the prosenchyma giving the rigidity, and the cuticle giving the protection. So what is epidermis made of is again the parenchyma. So these parenchymatous cells are undergoing cutinization process, which gives protection to them. And remember, children, not only in that is this ground, that is tissue, which is parenchyma, is mostly seen in almost all parts of your plants. Like it may be seen in the mesophyll tissue. So you can see this is a mesophyll tissue. It can be seen as a constituent of the xylem and phloem. It can be seen in the cortical area, the pith area. So wherever the fruits, okay, and the seeds and the grains, these all are going to possess the parenchyma. And this parenchyma has a several functions, as you can see here. Okay, and coming on to the next type that we are going to have is going to be the collenchyma. So you can see that collenchyma, they are very different when compared to that of the parenchymatous cells. The parenchymatous cells were very thin cell wall composing the cellulosic cell wall. But you can see that these polyhedral cells are very near to each other. There is no scope of intercellular spaces here. And you can see that when the location where the two adjacent cells are combining, there is a deposition of thick celluloses and the pectin deposition. So these blue things at the corners that you can see where the two cells are adjacent, these are nothing but the depositions of the celluloses and pectin, which makes them more thickened and hardened. So they are going to give a very mechanical strength, and they are going to give the tensile strength to this particular plant. Usually collenchyma is being seen in the herbaceous dicot plant stems. We can see the collenchyma just below the epidermal parenchyma. We see all these collenchymatous cells. Remember, children, these are going to have the cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectic depositions, which make them very thickened corners, and which are going to give them a very strong, what you call is mechanical strength they are going to provide. Remember that they even have some small simple pits are also being present in the collenchyma. Sometimes collenchyma may even have the presence of the chloroplast. So they are going to help again in the photosynthesis. These also are having the protoplasm, a large vacuole, which is going to store the nutrients, the minerals. And remember, children, these are also going to be the living cells having the nuclei. Okay, and coming on to the other that you can see, this is one of the slides where I can show you that this is actually the cells that you can see in the hypodermal area, as I told you. So these are the thin cells, which are thin wall cells of the parenchyma. These are the collenchyma. You can see, compare them, they are going to be very what you call is have a very thickened cell walls here because of the pectin and the cellulosic, hemicellulosic depositions. When compared to the parenchyma cells, the collenchyma cells are smaller, okay? But do they both have the cellulose, that is, they have the protoplasm, the nuclei, and the vacuoles, and both are the living, simple, permanent tissues, children. Okay, now coming on to the functionality, this is very important to speak about. The collenchyma, since it is having a thickened cell walls here, this one is going to actually help in giving you the mechanical strength. As I told you, it gives a rigidity. And remember that these collenchyma cells are arranged in bundles. Where are they arranged? They are arranged near the periphery of the stems. Okay, periphery of the stems. And they are also being present at the leaf petioles, also the stalk of the leaf and the stems. As I told you, they're present in the dicot, herbaceous stems. They are present. Remember, children, because of the strong wind, when these plants actually they tilt or move, the way the stems get back, that way of the tensility is being provided to the stems just because of the collenchyma only. This is very important. Collenchyma is only being present where in the in the dicot herbaceous stems. This is not found in the monocots, children, and this is not even present in the roots also. Just how do you remember this is? The tensility is not required for the root, okay? So remember that the tensility and the mechanical strength provided by the Collenchyma is very helpful for the stems, as they are present in the periphery of the stems. They are providing this particular power to them. Okay, so they are giving the structural support to the growing plant body also, okay, particularly in the shoot system. Okay, this is very, very important to remember. And even they are going to help in stretching as the organ is going to elongate, because as I told you that epidermal parenchyma, later you have the collenchyma. As the cells are going to form up, what happens is they're going to help in elongation process. So this is important. So they're going to help in stretch as the organs are going to elongate. Okay, they're providing mechanical strength, flexibility, tensility. Okay, so this is about the collenchyma. And the next that we are going to see is the last simple permanent tissue, which is being called as a sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma, if you're going to look at, we are going to have basically two different types of cells here, children. You can see that the cell wall, again here, it is very thick when compared to that of the parenchyma, as you can see in the collenchyma. But here we see that the thickened cell wall is just because of the deposition of the lignin. Okay, here also. So you can see that you have to remember that the sclerenchyma is a dead, a simple permanent tissue, because as the cells are going to mature, these cells are going to die and they will lack the protoplasm. This is very important. As they are going to get mature, they die and they lack the protoplasm. They have a lumen in between and they have a very thick cell wall. And you can see that the pits are also available here. Okay, these are the pits available over here. This long cell, which is very having a tapering ends at the both the ends, is being called as fibers. These are the sclerenchyma fibers. Next, coming on to this particular spherical cell, which is irregular, having no protoplasm, because as I told you that sclerenchyma is going to die when it's going to be matured, is going to have a very, very small thin lumen, narrow lumen is being present in the this structure, and this type of cell is being called as a scleroid. We can even call it as a stone cell also, mostly seen in the walls of the coconut shells and the walnuts and the nuts, that you're going to see that strong strength is being provided just because of the scleroids or the stone cells. They have a very narrow lumen, okay, and these are also going to have a very thick cell wall, children, just because of the lignification process. So sclerenchyma is a dead tissue having two types of cells over here. These are going to be the fibers and the scleroids that you are going to see. Okay, sorry. Coming on to the fibers and the scleroids here, I need to speak about these. So fibers are going to be long, as I have shown you. So these are going to be the long structures having the tapering ends, children. And these are not occurring, they do not exist in a single. They are going to exist in a bunch. So you can see they're existing in a bunch. So they are going to be in a bundles, or they may be as a sheets available. Okay, and these are usually used in making the ropes and the fibers, and they are found together. Where are they being found? In the, we usually call it as xylem fibers. So they are making up the xylem fibers. Okay, and these scleroid cells that I spoke about, these cells which we could see that they were having some irregular polygonal cells with a very narrow lumen and a lignified cell wall. Stone cells, which can otherwise be called as, are the ones which are going to give the toughness to the seed coat, as I told you, of the nuts and the coconut shell. Okay, the tough seed coats, and these are going to be the ones which are giving the pears a gritty, what is a gritty texture, that rough tough structure over the pears that you're going to see, is also just because of the scleroids which are being present. Okay, so these are the different three types of the simple permanent tissues, children. But the important thing that here for your examination point of view is going to be the location. So you have to remember Parenchyma, collenchyma, both are living cells having thin, but this has a thick cell wall because of the pectin and the hemicelluloses and celluloses at the corners. And you can see that the sclerenchyma is also going to have a very thick cell wall because of the lignification, but these are the dead cells. They do not have the protoplasm. Remember, these parenchyma are being present. I told you at most in every part, like your fruits, they are like your seeds. You can see in the epidermal area, the cortical area, the pith area, the mesophyll area, whatnot. You can see everywhere the presence of this parenchyma. Okay. Now coming on to the collenchyma, as I told you, these have been present the periphery of the dicot stems and the petioles are giving mechanical strength. So the same thing he has given you here. And next one is called sclerenchyma, is very dead cell, very hard, lignified. So these are present mostly on the seed coat, shells, and the dry fruits. Okay, shells of the dry fruits. As you know, these are the functions of storing and making food, storing the air. And these are the parenchyma, give even parenchyma, which is a prosenchyma fibrous, giving you the mechanical strength and rigidity, and collenchyma giving you the strength and elasticity, that tensile strength, overcoming or resisting the wind power and coming back to its original location. And sclerenchyma is going to give you the strength as well as a protection, as it is going to be the toughest of all. Okay, so by this, children, I am done with the explanation of the simple permanent tissues. So just remember that your meristematic primary and the secondary meristems are the ones which provided you these simple permanent tissues. And the reason we are regarding them as simple, because of the presence of the similar functionality cells. Okay, similar functionality cells have been present. Okay, in the next forthcoming video, I'll be introducing you with the complex or the compound permanent tissues. That is a vascular tissue I'm going to speak about. Okay, I hope this video will be helping you all in revising your topics. Okay, if you like this video, please hit the like button, and do try to please comment in the comment section, and try to subscribe my channel, and try to share this channel with many of the other children, your near and dear ones. This will be helping them a lot. Okay, thank you, and thanks a lot, children. Thank you all. Thank you.